answering this question?
I've heard pretty logical arguments.
A logical argument isn't
Proof.
a proof.
Well, logic is where you find proof.
But the logical argument isn't the proof.
It's an argument for proof.
The practical demonstration is the proof. You said that yourself.
No, I absolutely. Okay, that's when the rubber meets the road. I agree with that. So that's
So how
relevant
many
to
people within this arena have put it to the test the way that we do?
Bev is one of other many different people that make claims about truth.
How many
have put that
Zero. None that I've
to
seen.
the test?
I can name at least 3 others that I know just by talking to them. I don't know them personally. I can't validate anything they say in reality. A lot of claims I'm hearing. But when someone who says they work for NASA sends a satellite up into space using their logic, that's something to consider. And I consider it all. I'm not going to throw it out with the bathwater. I want to be convinced. And I think Bev has some pretty strong, validated in reality arguments. No doubt. I don't know who could possibly begin to disagree with that. My question is that when you use logic, you have to recognize the fact that logic has built-in restraints that work as an isolated system. And I know that because I've worked in software and coding. And when you define something to be something, I can use logic to make something so unimaginable that it wouldn't even resemble reality. So you have to be careful with logic. That's all I know.
Sin, sorry, bro, but that's some serious sophistry there.
No, it's Essie.
And the question still isn't answered.
If I make a computer game, which is going to be based in coding and logic, I can make Superman fly. I can prove that through logic.
Can you make me
just
fly?
That's just setting parameters.
Thinking computer logic is logic, right? It's not.
Okay, so there's different logics.
Yeah. Come out with a computer.
What's the difference between
get in reality?
Logic? Okay, fair enough. I agree. It should be backed up with something in reality. 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And computers within the computer code isn't within reality, is it?
Well, it's still logic, nonetheless. It's
what they call logic. It's how you program computers.
No, what do you mean? It's called logic. It's the definition of logic. When I make a line
of code, no, it is not.
Yes.
Logic existed before computers.
I agree.
Right. Well, it's not the definition of logic then.
Okay. Well, it's the okay.
So come out with the computers. Just lose the computer. Forget about it. That's not the logic we're talking about.
Okay. So
get in reality, please.
So your premise is that you need it to correlate with reality for the logic to be true.
You need to mind your P's and Q's.
Can logic be true without it representing anything in reality?
Is this like you're trying to obfuscate logic?
No, I know what logic is, and I know that logic can be used to argue for things that are completely unrealistic.
Give us an example then within logic of what you're talking about.
For example, if I define something,
that's the definition, not logic. Give us the logic behind
logic,
it, not the definition.
The first law. The first law of logic is define. You have to law of identity. What are we talking about? We have to define it.
No,
and when we define
that's not the first law of logic at all. The definitions have already been sorted.
By who?
By the people that are sorting the logic.
Fuck those people. I'm not talking about the...
Wow, you're rewriting your own logic and starting off with the definitions of things, are you?
Bev, are you trying to tell me I can't think of anything because somebody else thought it for me?
Yeah, that definitely sounded what I was talking about, right?
No, because I'm trying to use...
Definitely.
Well,
you
I'm
just
trying to
make up anything you say and put, so Bev, are you telling me at the beginning of it, and then whatever comes into your head that you thought I might have been saying. Carry on with that.
I've seemed to have been saying that if I define my terms, I can't define them because someone else defined them. That's what you said to me. I didn't put words in your mouth, and I didn't misrepresent.
Definitionally, I said that if you define things with the definition, then the definition would need to be logical, because the logical definition of the thing is definitional. Right? You can't change the definition of the logical definition of the thing into something.
Hold on, Bev. Hold on, Bev. You remember that conversation I had with you a couple of days ago about you can't make stuff without using stuff that already exists. Go ahead. Make something new that without using something else. Go ahead.
Get your own dirt.
So the definitions are already sorted, right? You're not going to be able to define one as two, because one's already one and two's already two. So what is it you want to define that hasn't already been defined? Please, go ahead. Just one thing that you want to start and redefine at the beginning of the redefinitions of things that are already defined.
Don't answer all at once.
Off you go. Yeah, just start off with the easiest one, the first one that comes to mind. No? Can we just start with the logic then and think that everything's already been defined? Unless you want to redefine straight as not straight.
Well, Bev, what's stopping us from defining anything any way we want?
It's already been defined. That's what's
why
stopping
does it
you.
matter? Why does it matter whoever?
Because you can't break the law of non-contradiction. You can't have a square being a circle just because you want to redefine it like that. It's already a square, and the circle is already a circle. You do not have the power to redefine shit and then start doing logic. So let's not redefine things. Let's go with everything is what it already is, and let's build the logic. Right, so once we've got over that first step that you just made up, law 1, what's law 2 of logic in your system? Because we're doing away with the definitional logic, because that's bullshit, right?
No. Okay.
Who told you that's the first step of the logic? Where did you learn that?
The law of identity is defining your terms. You can't really know of anything other than first start by defining what you mean.
Well, something already is what it is. So let's forget about that. What's law 2?
Well, something isn't what we think it is because we can define what we mean by what it is. Like if you say to me,
you don't have a step 2, do you? Is this as far as you normally get in the conversation? You just obfuscate this round and round in circles.
Middle. You know all of what I'm saying. Come on.
What? Go on. What's the law of the excluded middle? I heard somebody else do that before. Where have you been learning this from?
My ethics class in college.
Right.
It sounds like you're saying, "Come on, Bev. You know I'm smarter than that. Come on."
Well, it's like I mean, I don't. If you're gonna disagree with me with the fact that you have to define your terms, that's the basic premise of logic. Like, I don't know how you would disagree with that.
Explain to us, because Eggshells fucked it up as well, right? So explain to us the law of the excluded middle, like as though, just pretend I haven't got a clue what the fuck you're talking about. Right? Go on. Just give us that. Because wait a minute. And bear in mind that within logic, you're best off having a statement, and that statement can either be true or false. That's on or off, right? And there's no middle, right? So can you please explain the law of the excluded middle? I've heard 2 people say it, and I don't know what it is. So please explain us.
You literally just did it.
Go on.
You said something can either be this or that. It's not somewhere in between. You literally just defined it perfectly.
So what's the excluded bit then?
The thing that isn't either or.
Well, it can't be either or. It has to be either or, right? So
that's the law of excluded middle. Well done.
What are you
You're on my
excluding?
side.
What are you excluding?
Anything other
What?
than what is or is not.
Yeah, it's either yes or no. So what gets excluded?
The
Both.
thing that isn't defined to be yes or no. That's the law of excluded middle. It's either or. It's one or the other.
Where did you get that from?
Oh my God! Somebody defined it. Can't argue.
Was it Eggshells that told you, or has somebody else been teaching you and Eggshells?
It was Aristotle or Plato's cousin's brother, I think.
Okay.
Come on, Bev.
So
you know what I'm
whereas
saying.
I'd say,
with it.
right. So whereas I'd say you have to start off with a statement, and that statement has to be either yes or no, true or false.
Yes.
There's no other answer, right? Otherwise,
Correct.
It is not a statement.
Yes, that's a
right.
That's
okay,
a correct
so
definition. Yeah.
Right. So where does your law of excluded middle come into that?
You literally
how would you fit that into the statement? Right? How would you
just
fit that in?
defined it.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to help people if you just say that I've just defined it. Because what I would say is to start off a logical statement in order to keep it like in a mathematical sense, as logic is. You have to start off with a statement. Now, that statement has to be either true or false.
Yes.
If it is not true or false answer that can come off it, it is not a statement.
Yes, you're
and
right.
you cannot start your logic from it.
Yes.
Right? Otherwise, you would not end up with a deductive answer rate at the end.
No, you're 100% absolutely correct. Yeah.
Right. Brilliant. So let's just take that as a given, right? Let's take the other bit as a given, that the definitions of things are already given, because we're trying to keep this logic. We're trying to keep this logic as simple as possible for everybody listening.
Well,
that's what we want to do. We don't want to confuse anybody, not with over talking or anything. We just want to make it simple.
Well, that's where I disagree with you, is that when we use logic, you say someone already defined it. That's fine. I don't care who defines it. I'll define it right now. It doesn't matter who defines it, when or where.
What's it?
Anything. If you're going to use logic, you're going to have to define what you're talking about before you build anything off of it. Now, you're saying I can't define this or that because someone already did it. And I say, dude, where did you get that idea from? Who told you about that? Because I can define anything I want. I don't care about what other people think.
Okay. Have you never heard of geometry?
It's a story.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So you would say the definitions within that geometry system are definitive?
They're stories that are based on logic.
Rewrite it, you would you?
Logical stories, they're valid. Yeah, you got logical stories that are valid in geometry.
Are you sure you know what you're talking about?
If I'm trying to convince you of something, Bev, I'm going to have to rest it on the premise that
you're not trying to convince me. You're trying to convince everybody else that's listening.
Okay, so when Euclid defined his terms, right? He was trying to give you an argument logically.
What do you mean his terms?
The way that he did.
What do you mean his terms?
His axioms.
When he tried to define his axioms.
When he defined
the definitions. They all came first, the definitions, right?
Yeah.
1 to 35. That's the definitions done.
Yes. That's his logic behind why he thinks what he does.
No, that's the definitions of the words he's going to use, so you can understand what the fuck he's talking about.
So can no other people understand geometry apart from Euclid?
Why this swap of the conversation, right? He defined the words so everyone can understand what he's going to do with those words, how you prove things.
Well, I'm very suspicious because...
You're suspicious of what? What do you know within the definitions of Euclid? I'm betting you're going to have heard a few of them, right?
Absolutely. No, I'm
Have you heard of a circle?
Yes, I've heard of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, do you know where the definition of a circle comes from?
Are you going to tell me it's from Euclid.
Yes.
I would agree. That's fine.
Because
I got no
because
problem
it's
with
logical.
I got no
it's a
problem
logical
with that.
system, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So all of the words that are defined within Euclid get used within the proofs of the mathematical system, the axiomatic system. So we can say that those definitions get proved because they're used within the proofs. So you can't go back on the definitions of a circle and a square and a straight line, right? Because they're defined within the axiomatic system that then goes on to build the basis for mathematics, entirety of mathematics. So the definitions are already set, right? Let's take that as granted. The definitions are done. Nobody wants to go and redefine a cat as a dog. So we can now use that basis within the formulation of a logical statement. Would you be okay with that as the logical system of the way we work things?
If I were to use Euclidean or Euclid's postulates, and I would to accept his logic as this means
don't
that.
Just say that, because everybody might not understand what you mean. What do you mean by if you were to take Euclid's postulates?
If I were to accept what he's saying to me, that's true.
Like you can take it for granted that you can draw a straight line from one point to another. You're going to accept that, are you, within your structure?
He's defined what he means when he's talking about this stuff.
No, he's just saying within the postulates, it's what can be done. So you can draw a circle from a center point and a distance from that center. I mean,
sure. No,
you can then, right? So you're taking that for granted, right?
I'm not saying he's even wrong in any way. He's
probably
correct
I'm
in
glad.
every step. What I'm saying is,
so you're not going to be debunking any of Euclid today.
No, my question is, why are you isolating yourself to believe only what he says?
No, we're using that as the example of a logical system, right? As a way for people to understand logic.
It's definitely it's probably one of the best ways to understand logic. Yeah.
Okay, so why can you not progress into the bit where we start going about logic, formulating some logic? Why are you stuck on the definitions
I'm not stuck.
And the bit at the beginning? Why are you struggling to enter the formulation of the logic? What's up with it?
Because I'm going to appeal once again to coding, is that there's many different languages that are all going to be... C++ is just as logically as true as HTML, for example. HTML is going to be just as accurate as some other computer software language. Why?
Just setting parameters.
They work. Yeah, the parameters are they prove themselves just by using them. Mm-hmm. Now, when I jump into a reference frame where I say that I'm going to accept this person's logic, everything within that logic.
You have a reference frame of accepting somebody's logic.
The logical reference frame.
Do you even know what you're saying?
Yes, Euclidean.
You don't think it's an argument or something that you're putting forward here?
Bev, do you think C++ is more true than HTML?
I haven't got a clue. Why are you talking about computers again?
Because we're talking about logic.
No, we're talking about actual logic, not your computer shit. I told you that before. Get out of the computers, get into reality.
What makes it less logical because it's on a computer?
Well, it's very logical that you will not be able to get through the process to get to the logic. That's dead understandable, that, right? Well, I think everybody listening can hear that, what's going on.
Why is it that if I were to develop a computer software language, everything would work in it? It would work because
it's just the language,
everything.
bro.
That's the first thing
because you set the parameters to work within
that's
the system.
Logic, though. That's logic 101.
Setting parameters within the software.
Yes, that's my whole point. That's what Euclid did when he defined it. He set the parameters from which everything from within can be proved. Like if
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
it was Euclid that decided what a straight line was, right? You wouldn't have a clue what a straight line was, would you? If it hadn't have been for Euclid, you
I
didn't
could
even
say a
know it was
straight line
Euclid
is-
that did that.
It doesn't matter whether I know it was from him or it was from anyone else. It's still something that has logic to it, and I can decipher that logic, and I can, for myself, decipher whether it's true or not.
That's because the logic's always been there. A straight line has always been a straight line. Euclid just put it down in a book in a systematic way that nobody could deny. He called it proof.
This is religious.
Actual proof.
This is very religious.
Of you,
This
I
is
would
like,
say so. Yeah,
no, this is like me telling
you're
you,
defending some sort of
Bev, did you know
religion
Jesus
that you have.
defined right and wrong? Jesus defined right and wrong, Bev. Did you know that? This is what you're telling me.
I don't know whether he did or not.
Yeah,
It's
well,
probably
this is what
already
you're telling
there.
me. You're
Probably
saying
called it the
it's been
Logos, right?
defined. Oh,
Could
come
Jesus
on.
have been the Logos? Wrote into a book.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda, maybe. I don't know.
Well, there
I'm
you go.
gonna have to consider it. Though.
Who said that Jesus defined right and wrong? The definition of right and
It's
wrong
been
is held within us.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to us to know who's right and what's right and wrong. Not
Same
we
as the logic.
we don't judge what's right and wrong by what's written in a book.
Well, you do if you're reading Euclid.
Are you mental?
You're saying,
but
okay,
Euclid,
you realize the hypocrisy
Euclid
of your own
isn't
argument.
a religion, is it?
Well, people used to worship math, did they not? Pythagoras.
Well,
Are you
used
kidding me?
to. Why are you dragging up what people used to do and talking about what we're doing now?
Okay.
It's a non sequitur. Why
What
can't you just stay on topic, Sin Cleanser, and stick with the here and now?
He can't do the logic. He can't do the logic. He's showing us.
I'm only here for the logic.
There's going to
really
be plenty
only-
of people.
You're dragging it off into religion.
Well,
you say you're
there's
only here for the
logic in
logic, but you're
religion.
dragging it off into religion.
There's logic in religion. Why do you think? People see
Religion is a belief system. That's not
so
logical.
It's logic.
It's not
No,
logical.
religion is a belief system. Sorry, buddy.
Goodness.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
He wants it to
Can
be
I
logical,
try in
right?
just one way with using computer jargon? Sin, you said about the two different programming languages, right? C++ and what was the other one?
HTML. Yeah.
Okay. Think of those as languages, okay?
Yeah, that's what they are.
Right? Okay, those are just languages. Now, what Bev is trying to do, he's trying to bring you to the next level now. He's trying to show you the game. He's trying to show you the first chapter. And you're getting stuck here. Think of it as...
I don't think Bev's taken him to the first chapter. I think Bev's still trying to write the first sentence with him.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
but
so,
you see what I'm saying there, Sin?
Wait a minute.
No, okay, so hold on. I may have everything completely wrong about Bev. All I'm saying is I understand logic well enough to actually be able to use it in many different ways. It's not.
No, you're confusing logic with language.
Well,
that's parameters, bro.
You're conflating logic with setting parameters. No,
Let
logic
you
to set
you
parameters.
the next steps in. You might learn something, bro. I'm telling you. This is for
that's-
your own good.
That's what
Sit
I'm
back
looking
and
for.
let him proceed. Pretend you agreed. Let him
Alright.
proceed.
All right, fair enough.
Okay, step 2.
Where's your step 2? That's what I was going on about, because I said I initially started this, right? I don't think you understand logic. And it's pretty obvious at the minute. We've got a totally different understanding of what logic is.
Well, see, okay, so maybe, Bev, I've just got a college education that tells me about how logic works, and I was able to use language based on my understanding of logic. You're telling me that I'm wrong. I'll even accept that for the sake of argument. I'll accept it.
I'm not telling you you're
You're
wrong.
saying I don't understand about logic, and I said I do.
I'm saying you're thinking about computer logic. That's not the logic that we are talking about.
What's the difference?
One of them's
Let him explain it to you.
One of them's done on a computer. The other one is done in reality.
Okay, fair enough. I agree.
Right.
But it's still logic nonetheless.
Well, okay.
No, it's a language
and
parameters.
Let's learn from that logic, right? The logical process that goes on within a computer, right? Let's take that on board, right? Now, you don't have to define things because things are already defined in reality, right?
Not in computers. You have to define them in computers.
In reality, things are already defined. Yes? So we can skip that because things have a definition. Then we can also skip the fact that
there. No, because that's my main. That's probably.
I know this is the bit that you can't get into the next step of logic because you're hung up on something that is irrelevant.
Well, just because someone says
because this is how you stop getting into the logic.
Well, no, this
is how you show us that you don't know about logic because you're scared to get there.
You can't say things like that because I.
Well, you're scared to get there. You can't get past the fact that things already are defined.
I know. Anyone can define anything at any time for any reason whatsoever. They can define.
I have an idea, Sin.
Anytime.
How about if we define the real world in the computer and take it from there? Would that satisfy you?
Well,
everything that in reality, we now put it into a computer program. Is that okay?
No, Essie.
Can we proceed after that?
I just want to make myself clear. So we don't need to fucking argue about. Like, listen, what I'm saying is that when you define something, you set your own standard from which everything must follow. Okay? Anybody can do that. Anybody with a fucking idea in their brain can do that. Now,
no, bro. Are you confusing definition with renaming? Sin. Do you mean renaming something? Is that what maybe you mean renaming it?
Dude, Essie, come on, bro. You know anyone can define anything any way they want.
Right. Well, can we just, like, for everybody else that's listening, right? We just saying, all I'm saying is things already have a definition in reality, right? I don't need to redefine a cat as a dog or a square as a circle or a straight line as a circle. I don't need to do that. They are already defined. Now, breaking the law of non-contradiction requires something to be something that it is not. So that requires it to already be known what it is.
If you appeal
we don't need to do that.
No, because Bev, listen. If I say, you know what, when they told you a circle was a circle, they were actually lying to you because a circle actually means a square. I'm asking you to detach yourself from that, the past logic, to accept a new frame of logic.
Yeah, but in the other worlds theory that you're allowed to do in your mind, when you go into logical processes, you cannot break the law of non-contradiction. You can't have an other world where a circle is a square. It would break logic. It cannot be done. We don't do that.
It would break that.
Oh, at least some of us don't do that. The ones of us that choose to try and live in reality can't do that because I can't imagine a square being a circle. I just don't have the ability to do that, Sync. So stop trying to say and get everybody else that's listening to this to make it think that it's much more complicated than it is. It isn't.
It is much more complicated.
It's not.
And that's why it's not easy. Bev, if you accept some interpretation of what a circle means, you're full in believing that they are true.
I can prove that. Sync. I can get a compass and prove it.
Sin Cleanser.
For fuck's sake.
All right.
I don't think he understands logic or
take
proof.
A break.
Yeah, you do.
See you later. Well, there you go. That's first one down. Sin Cleanser comes in.
Was he a globehead? Was that a globehead?
Yeah, that was. That was the first contender for the obfuscation award.
Sin Cleanser, you seemed like a real baller.
Now, anybody else listening, I'm hoping that you didn't think it was that complicated, because it's really simple. Logic is, it's already there. It's not something you should need to be taught. You just need to be shown.
Can I just jump in and say something?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Bev. I don't mean to cut you off, but when he was saying that you could define a circle and then a square and call it a square, like that was where my brain just shut down. Because a circle in Euclidean geometry is defined and provable.
No,
it's
that's
simple. It's as simple as
he's
conflating setting parameters with using logic. He thinks that he's just conflating them.
Yeah, and also I think the point that he was trying to make, and I kind of somewhat understand, but it's not relevant to the conversation. He's basically saying, the long time ago we've named the couch, and it's been couch ever since fucking couch. So that doesn't mean that tomorrow we can't call it a fucking chair and start calling it a chair from tomorrow on. I get that. But that's not what he's fucking trying to say.
No, he's trying to say that so we don't go into the actual formulation of the logic.
Yeah.
Like, it's a stupid sticking point, like to stick at the definitions of things. I could hear it from the first off, right? The moment somebody said to us that level is horizontal, that's just definitional, right? That's somebody who doesn't understand the proofs and everything that have come with what we've done. They don't understand the logic, and they don't understand the proofs that go along with the logic. And then they don't understand the practical application of those proofs and logic bore into reality to prove the logic that we make first. Somebody who can't even step foot on the first rung of the ladder.
It's even worse than that.
Doing.
It's even worse than that, bro. He believes it's not just renaming it. He believes that he can set through the computer system or whatever in his head. He believes that he can set a place where a circle is a square, and that makes sense, and you build upon that. He's saying much more than what you guys think, I believe.
Oh, I know what he's doing. I predicted this a long time ago. It's gonna.
This is Russellism, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
leading up to it.
This is the same technique that they used at the very start of this whole thing. This is the whole reason why we're even here in the first place. They already tried to do this with horizontal and level. Now they're going to start trying to do it with every fucking word.
Logic.
They already have. It's already been done. You guys are just fixing to see in the next little while. You're fixing to see what's been hashed out for years and years.
Yeah.
Because it's called computer logic, that doesn't make it logic in the real world. That's just the name of it, computer logic. But it's not logic. It's a language with parameters.
That's what I was trying. That's what I was trying to get across. He's setting parameters, but he's conflating, saying that's logic. He might have used some logic to set the parameters so the program wouldn't be all fucked up. But he's conflating logic with setting parameters.
Not only that, he thinks he can change logic in that world. And logic means this now.
Yeah.
You had to use logic so that you wouldn't fuck your program up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, that's
because the law of non-contradiction.
Sorry, Sin, bro. I hope you come back, you know? That's some messed up stuff, bro.
I'd like to know about the law of the excluded middle as well. I mean, that I've heard it said, but only up until the other day. Eggshell said it, and then Synclenser said it. Does anybody else know anything about this? Because I've never heard of it, literally. It doesn't mean anything to me. Still, nobody's explained anything. They've just said it. And then said, yes, exactly what you've just said. It's like, well, I didn't say anything about that. I just said a statement. Has to be either yes or no. Otherwise, it's not a statement. That's got nothing to do with the law of the excluded middle. It doesn't mean anything. I don't know. All I'm trying to do is come from it to make this simple. Because to me, it is. it seems like there's a lot of people that want to make it a lot more complicated than it actually is. And I don't know why they want to do it. Why
I never seen anything like this.
Definitions? I know.
Because
Robot.
Because the more complicated it is, the more people would have to look into it to prove it. So the more you add more, billions and millions and billions, and people are just like, I don't know, leave it to the NASA scientists to figure it out.
Yeah.
Breaking up a lot, Fuzzy.
That was breaking up a lot. Yeah. And I don't know whether you were saying there, but why let somebody else sort this out? This is basic logic. It's a process that everyone can use every day. I mean, they do. People employ logic on a daily basis. Well, I hope so.
Do you think Euclid understood logic?
Euclid knew how to think. Mm-hmm. Most people don't know how to think, and they don't want people to learn how to think. They just want people to just accept things. Because when you know how to think for yourself.
Yeah, because the word axiom, like when you start breaking it down, like it has to logically follow what preceded it.
No, that's not an axiom.
Well, it's a step process. Like,
it's just a law, right?
Maybe I'm confused.
It's the rules. The axioms are just the rules of something.
Hold on.
So you don't need to prove it.
Axioms are established facts.
Oh, here we go.
Right?
He's back.
Wow.
Sorry. Well, okay. See, I don't know what
that was a quick council meeting.
I call it a self-evident truth.
Yeah, but it's an established fact.
A self-evident truth.
Which would be established as fact.
A self-evident truth.
Okay, I agree, yes.
Scent cleanser. Can you hear me?
What's up, Redman? Yeah, what up?
Okay, if I ask you to hand me that straight edge, and you hand me a ball, are you wrong or am I wrong for asking for a straight edge?
We'd have to agree on terms. Yeah.
Oh my word.
God. Like,
What
no.
Yeah, you'd have to agree.
Think cleanser, please don't come in this because you can just confuse everybody.
Well,
because you don't seem to know what a straight is. You're screwed. I'm surprised you've been in this for 2 years and don't know what a straight is and how you manage to have the conversation.
I said straight edge.
I'm talking about pure, unadulterated logic.
Is it logical to say that you don't know what a straight is?
I didn't say that, thank God.
You did.
No,
you said you'd have to define fucking terms on straight and ball.
If you and I have different interpretations of truth, we're not going to agree. And if we don't define our terms, how would we know what we're talking about? Now, presumably...
The terms have already been defined, Sink Cleanser.
Presumably, if I go with the normie interpretation of what you mean, I'm going to find a normie understanding. So,
what are
presumably,
you?
I would know what you're talking about when you say straight edge.
Sink Cleanser, the normal person that knows how to think would use logic, and say, I don't know what a straight edge is. If I ask him, then he'll tell me. Because he asked for it, so he'll know.
This is irrelevant, right? Because at the minute, pretty obvious, Sink Cleanser is just stalling. Right? Why are we talking to somebody who doesn't know the definitions? Like, how long is this going to take? And how many days are we going to have to talk about definitions? And how everybody individually can define their own definitions before you even start any sort of a conversation with them. It's ridiculous.
It's
And I'm
not.
surprised you think you can hang around a debate arena like this, where people are having conversations, where you're telling everyone that you can have to define what straight is at the beginning of a conversation.
I've gotten this far in the discussion in this community because I'm telling people they don't know what they know. And they believe what they believe because they think
Wow.
that, just as you do, that these are truth claims. They're truisms based in logic.
Oh my
And when
god.
I say that, guess what? Logic is relative. Then you get entered into the discussion that everyone's been having. Because your
Guess
truth
what, Sin Cleanser?
cannot be
We
my
you-
truth.
we know what we
Wait.
know.
Wait, did he just say logic is relative?
Can something be true for you and not true
Yes,
for me?
he did.
What?
Yeah, that's why we shouldn't be talking with him. Fucking
Wow.
logic is
Look,
relative, you
Yeah,
dick.
That's
if I
fucked
have
up.
if I have
Wow.
black hair and you have red hair, okay, we got different truths. Your hair is not black. My hair is not red. There we go.
What?
Great time
Sorry.
wasted, man.
Someone, if
Full
someone
story.
comes in here and says logic is relative, you're excluded. I mean,
No, logic
thought
is
you
an
said you were
isolated
going to have a
system.
break.
It's a restraint that people
I thought you said you were going to have a
indulge.
break. Did you go and have your break already?
I had
That's
a
a
break.
short ass fucking break.
No, I had my break. Thank you.
I'm
Doesn't sound.
good.
It sounds
Nothing else to
like
talk to
you're
you about
still
this guy.
fired up from the time before.
Well, okay, so say we have people that have different
No,
understandings.
no.
He just keeps going.
Kick rocks.
Right,
Smart,
Sin
bro.
Cleanser. Right,
Well, if you
you've
don't
been
want to talk
Sin
about it,
Cleanser.
you're a dishonest person.
We've already
You-
said that like 4 times.
Dishonest.
Find the door.
Hello, Sin Cleanser. Have you been having a conversation with Bev?
Yeah, presumably.
Right, you yes or no? Have you been having a conversation with?
It's not really been a conversation, but I've been trying at it.
Have you been having a discussion with Bev?
We've been talking at each other, yes.
Right. And you both use the same language, yeah? Being
Yeah,
English.
yes.
And the words that you're using are defined within that language base, yeah?
We both agreed that the English language is the way to present what we think.
So everything that you've been talking about is defined within the language, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So those definitions are working for you both.
Absolutely, yeah.
So why the fuck would one of you want to redefine all the words you're using?
It's like if I said God and you say, which God? There we go. We're on our
Oh,
way.
that's ridiculous.
No, because that's a simple explanation of
No,
why
it's not. No, it's not.
if you
God,
say
God
something-
is a construction.
Oh, fine,
Many
I don't
different.
care if it is.
Each religion has their own God. So
Fine.
why are you obfuscating with this?
You're proving my point, DP. If every religion has their own God, how can we agree on terms?
But
That you're making my point.
it's a
Thank
belief
you.
system. It's a belief system.
Yes, it
and
is.
you're conflating that with a
No.
structured language.
DP, you probably made my point better than I could. If everyone has a different interpretation of God, how could we possibly agree on it?
This is an
Define it
abstract.
differently.
This is an abstract, and we're talking
Oh.
about a
No,
defined
hold on,
language.
hold on. The fact where we all agree, it doesn't matter if the gods are all fucking different. They all agree that there's a God. Bam. Shut the fuck up.
No, but
Move
that's
on.
my whole point. If I say level is in question and I have 30
Level
different
is
definitions
not
of
in
what
question.
level is, then we
No,
have to
level
define our terms.
is not in question. That is the one thing that's not in
Okay,
question.
I don't know where you've been, but in the flat Earth community, level has absolutely been in question.
No, it's not.
What?
I don't know
We've
if
not
you've
been
heard
in the
of
flat
like
Earth community.
10 or 15
Full
people in the
stop.
next room.
I don't give a shit about if the flat Earth community don't know and think that logic is relative and you have to define the terms of everything before you start a discussion about it. Well, I'm glad I've not been in it.
No,
level with me hasn't been in an issue because I've proved it.
I know.
So, like, I don't care about what you and the flat Earth community think. Because if the flat Earth community are anything like you, I don't want to have a discussion with you. It's pretty obvious we can't have a discussion with people like you because you think everything is relative to you. You can just make a new definition up.
That's what they do.
That's
Bev,
what who does. You are the person that's doing it,
Bev,
as far as
Bev,
I can see.
Relax. Bev, if I tried to talk to you about God and you and I had different interpretation of God, we're never going to get anywhere. But it seems like that's where we're at with the term of level. They'll
But
call
like
it one
Turn
thing,
Up
I'll
said,
call it the
the
other.
final
This is
definition of
logical.
God is
Okay,
the
DP,
same.
really, bro?
God is supernatural. We're talking about
God.
natural. Level is
We're
in the
talking
natural
about
world.
defining our terms. We're
And
talking
God
about how
and the word
can we
God
build off of the logical claim.
ultimately has the same definition. A religious deity.
Oh my God. Well, this is why you're going to be here talking with Globers about
You're
what
gonna
level
be-
is
you're
2 years
talking
from now.
with people
Dude,
like
you're-
you.
Guess what?
You've done the best impression of the
haven't done-
Glober I've
Talking to
ever
the Glover
seen.
for the last half an hour.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Well,
I can't get a straight
for
answer.
me to tell you that you guys have
back
different
to Hopkins.
understandings of what these terms mean.
Of
Far be it
logic,
from me.
obviously, yeah.
No, not logic.
Yeah, we do. We have different definitions of logic. To
Bev.
me, it's already there. I know what straight is. Logic tells me what straight is. Can you prove it?
that.
Yeah, of course I can prove that as well.
know that.
That's why it's logic, because it's provable.
Bev, when have I disagreed with you throughout this whole? I haven't disagreed with you once.
Dude, you're off your cake.
I said that
you're
you
wish-washy. You're going from one side to the other just to try and confuse everyone. Pretty obvious.
You're gonna purposely.
You haven't got a clue what you're talking about.
Yeah, because you're purposely misrepresenting me.
Sin cleanser, you
I don't
literally.
know why you keep
you
purposely
said,
going out of
whoa.
your way to make me sound like I'm crazy. I told you
You
that
said
people define
logic is
things
relative.
Hold on, Buster. Listen, I told him people define their terms differently.
You
How
said
weird
logic
is that?
relative.
Is that really? Am I really confusing anyone when I say people define things differently? Are you kidding me? That's a fact.
No.
Now
Got no straight edge.
you're saying I can't define something. I can't define something other than what someone else in the past said. Bullshit.
People define
Absolutely
abstract. People define abstract things differently, but things that are defined are defined.
Sure. And guess what? You and I can define things differently. Lo and behold.
Only abstract
You
things.
can. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
I don't want to talk to this.
Well, hold on. He has a point, right? We have a point, right? Well, he has a point because when someone says round, right? When I say round, I mean the ball Earth, right? But a flat Earth could also be round too, as in a circle, right?
Yeah, we're not talking about flat Earth, please.
Don't
talk about flat Earth. This is about basic logic.
I was getting onto that. I was saying that, but
no, you weren't.
Well, he was talking about also words too. Like when he says something, he may mean something else. You know what I'm saying? Like when I say round, I personally mean like a ball. All right. Someone else may mean like a circle, a flat circle. Right. The issue comes where it's me, right, or us. All right. When we talk, we take shortcuts. All right. We're not super descriptive. All right. When we talk about stuff. Right. And so I guess that's kind of what he's on about.
Like the God concept, yes, they're both different shapes, but again, they're both fucking round. It's the same goddamn thing.
Yeah,
it's defined as round. Whether it's
round is an attribute, not a shape, right? So I mean,
yeah. So it's on me.
Arma,
I do mean ball though. I'm just taking a shortcut in language.
Okay.
That's all.
This sounds like we're delving into semantics here, right? That's the last thing we want to deal with is a semantics bullshit, right?
Can I clear it up?
Let's not take it into semantics.
Bev, hold on one sec. There's a lot of people that just joined. I want to clarify. Logic, it works as an isolated system. If you define something as what you define it as, you can build off of that axiomatically. Now, I could define flat to be curved and axiomatically build off of that logically, from which everything afterwards would make sense.
And I say you're mad. You can't do that.
Yes, that's code. That's language. That's logic itself.
It's not logic. No, it's not logical to say a plane is a curve.
I can prove
it's
it.
not logical to say a straight is a circle.
Okay.
Not logical at all.
Bev, just go ahead and interrupt him, though. Okay, don't let him finish his explanation.
Well, if you just joined, or have you been involved in this all?
No, I did just join.
Right. Well, we've had this argument over and over, and he just grandstanded to let you guys know that he's crazy. He'll literally define something as something else.
How about I talk about myself for myself? Because
you tell everybody else.
I like it.
No, because hold on. Because most people are going to agree with me, Bev. Because when I say that, I
don't agree with you.
That's not leading the crowd.
You don't know yet.
Is it?
Okay. Well, you
really
do, so
don't
I
agree
can
with
too.
you.
All right. I can use computer software language to make logic gates that make everything logically consistent, and it not at one point ever represent reality whatsoever. I can logically make things make sense logically that have nothing to do with reality. Now,
Within the parameters of the program.
I defined my terms, if then. I can do that. Now, you're saying I can't define my terms because somebody else did. That's bullshit. You're saying I can't define things because Euclid already did it. Bullshit. I can define anything any way I want.
Dude, who said that?
I could define straight to mean ellipsoid if I wanted. I could do that. I really could do that. Logically.
Off you go then.
Well,
I don't particularly want anybody, right? So if anybody doesn't want to...
Hang on.
Fucking interrupt me. I'm out of here because I don't want to deal with somebody talking about bullshit over and over again. Can't get past definitions that he wants to define of his own.
Yeah, I totally understand. And yeah, non-Euclidean. That's where he would be defining it, in non-Euclidean geometry.
He left.
Yeah. Sin cleansing, you're being retarded.
No,
I'm leaving
telling
too.
you don't have to appeal to Euclidean understanding to know logic.
I'll listen.
Let's not insult each other, guys. Let's keep it calm.
Okay, let me ask you guys.
Sin, you missed a big opportunity.
Hold on, I want to listen to Sin.
You missed a big opportunity, brother.
I wasn't being dishonest anyway.
I want to listen to Sin because I sort of mess around with, like, computer logic. Well, I say that
computer logic too, man.
but it's more game design.
No, Arma. Let me ask you this: when you use computer logic, everything requires an if-then statement. You have to define your terms in logic.
Yeah.
The law of identity is just as true in computer logic as it is in actual logic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I define something to be this, A equals A, I've defined my terms. Now, the axiomatic claims afterwards have to rest on the premise that I didn't contradict myself. That's logic.
But here's
to agree with me. I don't know why.
Yeah, but here's the issue though, because you never defined logic though. I think he's going by the universal known definition of logic where things make sense or whatever. But you could use logic in that sense too though. But you never really explained that definition.
I wasn't even disagreeing with him. That was the most frustrating point. The whole time I was talking with him, I didn't disagree with him.
Sin, you're not getting the most fundamental of all things, bro. The most fundamental thing is you're talking about computer language. You're building a non-reality with bits, ones and zeros. And
yes, yeah.
Bev was telling you, we're talking about logic in reality, bro. Why can't you not understand that?
Well, no, what my argument was to Bev was that logic can be used in many different ways. It can be used to represent imagination and reality. Both equally. It can do both. I can make a computer game represent something that has no relation to reality. I can do that.
Yes, you can. But can you do that? Yes, I'll give you that. But can you do that? Hold on. Can you do that in reality?
No, because the logic isn't the same.
But my question.
No, there's only one logic, bro.
No, there's not one. There's logic is a language. That's it.
No, your computer, what you think of as your computer, that's a language with parameters. C++, that's a language with ones and zeros. That's all it is, bro.
I see where you're coming from. I don't know. Logic isn't necessarily a language, but HTML and C++, these are languages that use logic no differently than anything Euclid did. You know what I mean?
I'm not denying you that you're using logic to make the parameters, right? Using the language. And I've dabbled in it a bit in the beginning. I know a little bit, not much. I grant you that. But that's not the real world, bro. You're creating, you're playing God.
I agree.
When you make a game, right? You're playing God. You're creating that game, but you cannot do that in reality.
No,
Things
I agree.
You get what I'm saying?
No, I'm right on board. That's what was so aggravating, is that I was trying to agree with him the whole time, but there was something that was making him incapable of understanding how I was agreeing with him. Because there should really be an argument here.
He perceives you as the other side. He automatically will argue you.
Here's something to bring up to this topic.
Because he assumes you're on the other side.
I really do like Bev. I think Bev is one of the smarter people that come around here. But I feel like he never really understands what I'm saying to him. So it's like, what the hell am I doing?
I'm sure he feels the same way, Sin. But let me just say one thing. You missed a great opportunity here, bro, to learn a bit of logic. I swear to you. If you get the chance again because you got him mad, you can learn something. I'm telling you.
Essie, I've talked to Bev. This is the third time I've talked to him for over an hour. And every step of the way, I've gone out of my way to try to understand him. And I feel like, I don't know if it's defensive. I don't know what you would call it.
How about, look, how about, can we stop talking about people when they're not here? This is getting ridiculous, okay? If you want to have a conversation with Bev, then fine. If you want me to let the whole room know exactly what happened, today I feel like it, because you've all acted ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And the people who came down to this room and then decided to moan about what was going on in the room, Mr. Grimm, you can fuck off.
I didn't moan about what's going on in the room, you stupid cunt. Shut your fucking mouth.
Whoa.
I have a question because
you come down here and moaned about me just now. You're the only one doing it, you little projectionary.
Anymore, Graham.
Shut your fucking mouth.
From my point of view, it seems to me like Bev's basing his logic in geometry, right? It's Euclidean geometry.
No, he's not. That was the frustrating part to tell him. He's basing his understanding off of some guy's opinion. That's it. And I said, what makes Euclid's opinion different than anyone else's opinions? If they're using logic is going to remain the same regardless. And he could not understand that. He didn't understand that I could use logic to use it as a tool for any other purpose.
Sin, you couldn't go past the law of non-contradiction, bro. Are you serious?
No.
You couldn't pass the first step.
That's the second law. SE. The first law is law of identity.
There's no, I'm not talking about laws. I'm talking about you couldn't pass the first step. The law of non-contradiction, the most basic of logic.
That's not the first law.
You couldn't pass that, bro.
The first law is identity. You have to define your terms.
Can a cat be a dog, Sin?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Then there's nothing else I have to say with you, sir.
Esse's right.
I'm just going to start getting upset and I stop here.
No, Essie, please, come on. This is the main
It's
point
the
I've been
first
trying to...
one after the first one.
Hold on, Grim.
Least.
I've been really trying to make this point for a long time to Bev. The law of identity is the first law of logic. It's defining your terms. A equals A. If I define a circle to be a straight line, then guess what? Lo and behold, a circle will be a straight line because the law of identity declares it axiomatically. Now, if they say level means curved, they've axiomatically defined things logically. There's no way around that. Now, what he's saying is that there's different logics. Yes, there are different logics. And I was only asking him why he only appealed to Euclidean versus pretty much any other fucking asshole with an opinion. And he said, well, I grounded that in logic. I grounded that in I could prove this in reality. And I think that's a pretty good way of proving shit. So it wasn't, I don't know. I feel like a lot of it always gets lost in the weeds. He never understands what I'm saying, and he always gets pissed off and leaves. Bev is such a, like, why doesn't he ever dig in and want to discuss this shit? He just runs, dude. I hate that shit. Because I know he knows what I'm saying, and I know he knows enough about logic to agree with me. But he's just, I don't know. It's such a letdown, man, to be honest. It's like, what the hell? I tried 3-4 fucking times with this dude. It's not that complicated. Logic means things make sense.
You make perfect sense. You make perfect sense. Excuse me. Hiccup. But a lot of times when people are guarded because of their
Well, that's the thing. And pretty much 99% of everything Bev says, I agree with. Literally, pretty much everything. But the one thing I feel like I have a problem with him is that, you could base your logic in anything. I could base my logic in bullshit. It doesn't mean that everything that comes after would be illogical. It just means that we have different understandings of why we think what we do. But that's the thing with those guys. Bev's whole fucking crew is just... This is why flat earthers find it a hard time to even deal with this dude. It's like, what I mean?
What I was trying to say was, at one point he said, we're not dealing with a game or computers, we're dealing with reality. But he's derived that principle, right, that level is horizontal, from geometry. And so that's why question is geometry reality? Right? Is that your assertion?
and it's not, right?
Well, we don't even have to argue. Like, if you and I were talking about this honestly, we wouldn't have a dog in the fight. Who gives a fuck? Honestly.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Good question. Is logic and geometry reality? I don't know. It seems kind of like a language that helps us figure out shit as a tool, but I don't know if it's real or... Like, there's so many cool ways of thinking about this shit, but for him to be as hard-lined as he is,
that's the...
Come on, man.
The fundamental disagreement we have is whether we're talking about Euclidean geometry or spherical geometry, right?
No, I don't care. Listen.
No, that's what I'm saying with the flat Earth, globe Earth disagreement, right? When you're talking about level is curved or level is straight.
I don't think it matters to ballers either.
Hold on. I want to cut him off only for the point is that I've talked to Bev 4 times. Every time I've talked to Bev, I've talked to him for 45 minutes.
You were drunk as shit the other 3 times, so I don't know if that...
But it doesn't get any better. I feel like I have to be now. Oh, I don't know. Okay, so Bendy...
I'm just saying that the difference between whether we're talking about spherical geometry for the logic or Euclidean geometry for the logic, that's the crux of the entire argument. Because if you're talking about spherical geometry, then you can say a straight line is curved. And if you're talking about Euclidean geometry, then that you can't say that.
Well, to me, it wasn't anything related to do with math. It was like, and DP brought it up earlier. He actually didn't even like the fact that he brought it up perfectly. He said, we all can have different interpretations of God. And I said, yes, that's the main fucking point I've been trying to make. Every one of us can have different interpretations of God because we've defined him differently.
Well, if
they hated
think of
that.
it like this:
I don't
all
know.
the forms of geometry are true, and just overlap them on top of each other. So, like you're looking at a sphere, but since your perception of the sphere is 2-dimensional, then you're looking at a circle as well, right? You're seeing a circle, but you know it's a sphere. See, that's the point.
Well, here's the thing: going back to language,
why you can use them both, and it doesn't. The one that you're not canceling anything out. You're just trying to ignore something and play it. I got you game. The Bev game.
Going back to language, like what you guys were saying, people can define things differently, and I think that's to do with some sort of conversion of the language to another language. Some languages don't have a word for a certain word that you're trying to convert it from. Whereas when you went onto computer, that's a universal sort of language. So there shouldn't really be any misinterpretations.
Well, okay. So here's the thing, because I legitimately, every time I talk to Bev, I try to get along with him. I go out of my way, I try to agree with him. But he made some claims earlier. Like I was like, I can use logic to develop a line of code. I can use the HTML, C++, any language is going to tell me logically certain things must happen for anything to happen. And this is all the premise of logic, is that if this is true, then this can happen. He did not want to agree with me about that because he said, oh, you're talking about computers. Now, come on, dude. Computers don't negate the fact that logic fucking exists and works perfectly well. It works so well that we can use it for many different things. And that was what was aggravating, is that logic works. Now, if you and I develop a language of logic or a line of coding, we have to define our terms. If we disagree with how we define things, then we're not going to have the same fucking conclusions. No chance.
Yeah, coming from different axioms on the same words can
exactly
mean different things, and that causes
it's
problems.
simple. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't want to understand.
He's been told all this before, though, just so you know.
I know, and that's why he got aggravated, and that's why he tried to straw him. He said, "Oh, you sound like a baller." And when someone says that
he wants
to me,
to
I know
sweep that
you're
under
being
the rug.
an asshole, because I've been around here long enough. I've been on all these fucking channels.
Or maybe it's something. Maybe there's something to that. You sound like a baller.
No, that's
like
when you hit a
you're
fucking
honestly
nerve.
trying to get to the bottom of something.
When you hit a nerve, they're gonna call you a baller. That's bullshit. What a fucking scapegoat.
Well, I mean, don't be ashamed.
That is kind of bullshit. I'm not just saying that because I'm a baller.
Well, you can't write shit off
Go
because
on.
you don't like it. All right.
Throw some fuel on that.
But that's the problem. I like Bev. I like a lot of what he says. But when he says, you sound like a baller, I'm like, dude, you sound like an asshole. You sound like a piece of shit. Because I've not been dishonest one step any way throughout the whole conversation.
He's an all right guy, though. I mean,
no,
even
that's
I'm gonna say
why
that.
I love the dude. The guy's he's on the right path.
I came in late, but maybe
I don't know about all that. I mean, his intent, though. I feel like
every time I talk to him, it just never works out for some reason.
Maybe you just stopped him from being able to play his Logic game today, and that's why he was getting a bit arsey.
Yeah, he's trying to play Logic games.
Well, I think that was was quite fun though. Actually, the other day it did get quite a lot of people involved, and people were actually being quite cordial with each other as well.
Well,
fun,
see, I don't even know what Bev's real purpose. Like, him and I talking grew the room by at least 20 people, and he wasn't into it. I don't know. He separated himself. That's fine. I don't care. I don't know. But like, if you want to talk about these things, hopefully you'd want to talk about them in front of a lot of people so everyone can know. There's no reason to run away or fucking avoid this shit. These are just normie ass questions.
I think you guys are a bit chalk and cheese though. He's a very, very serious guy, isn't he? And you
really
bring that edge of, you know, not trying to take it too seriously sometimes. But I could definitely hear you were being serious.
I'm mostly lighthearted, but like I can get into some shit that's useful. Like I spend most of my time just fucking trolling and joking and laughing and having a good time. But if someone like Bev really wants to get into a deep subject, I'll entertain it for as long as it's worth. But I don't invest any emotion in any of that. So he doesn't seem to be able to separate himself from that. So he has to disengage completely. And that's fine. No problem with that. But I feel like people will miss out from the conversation because these are certain things that we want to hear. Everyone wants to hear what's happening, especially from the people that are capable of talking about it. So I don't know. I have a lot of problems with Bev, and it all stems from the fact that mostly I agree with him.
Well, Sin, just so everybody
Gotta be
understands, you
trolling.
are the top 3 of all flat earthers.
Well, I think flat Earth is an honorable position. As what's his name? Jin. Honor and integrity. Honor and integrity. No, it's just like everyone can shit on flat Earth. It's easy to do. There's no problems with shitting on flat Earth. I don't know anyone who can't do it.
Yeah, even
Now,
flat earthers do it. It's crazy.
Now, when I hear someone like Bev who would, in any other
Logic.
understanding, be understood to be a flat earther, I get a little bit, I don't know. You are on our side, motherfucker. Like, I don't know. I don't really want to talk about him. I really don't.
I am
There's
pro
so much
alternative
stupid
to the
shit happening.
norm
It's
narrative.
retarded, man. What the hell? You got people that should be on your side that are fucking arguing against you as if you're their enemy. Like, what the hell?
I think you need to kiss and make up.
No, Bev is. I'm not going to say anything about him. He is what everyone can see. Everyone knows him now. Try to talk to him. It's impossible. Everyone should try to talk to him. Even if you go out of your way trying to agree, 98% of the time, it'll come out as if you're his arch enemy for some reason.
Yeah, well, you're not allowed to disrespect leprechauns in here. I'll tell you that right now.
All right, I'm taking another break. I'm taking another break. All right, I'm moving up. I miss Pete. Where's Pete at?
Boom.
Sorry you guys had to hear me talk like that.
I was just thinking, Funk, if you actually got a C, right, in place of an N and just turned it 90 degrees, it would give the impression that it was an N. So you could still be known as Funk, but you could still be rebellious by sort of incorporating the original word, I guess. No, it's letters. It's a weird setup, isn't it? It's a weird setup here, isn't it? I guess you can come and go as you will, but isn't there a broadcast to YouTube? I haven't been there yet, but it's weird. Everyone doing their own thing, I guess. Just some people talking.
Why is it so quiet?